Hey everyone, this is Brett Favre, Green Bay Packers Super Bowl champion, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packers content. Go Packers.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on Packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Joined alongside Emilio in Tennessee. He is the draft board guru, as we've been in here crunching numbers already, figuring out a new formula for the board. Emilio, what's going on, buddy? How you doing?
Good, man. Happy it's Friday. Glad to talk a little ball. Got a little East-West in last night, so I'm just glad to be here.
Yeah, got great feedback from the live stream. The views were way up. People seem to enjoy that. Obviously, we're going to do it again tomorrow for the Senior Bowl. We'll be live, hopefully for the duration of the game. Might be a little bit more dead air involved with that, but we're going to try to stay live for the entirety of that game, or at least until it gets boring. You know how it is. Get in the second half, players get pulled out, that type of thing. Everybody gets their reps, so it gets a little bit stale. But, man, it was a lot of fun. We learned a lot. We got to share a lot about the prospects. Go through the board while we're watching the game. Everybody kind of hanging out watching the game together. It's a lot of fun.
It was a good time.
Yeah, definitely. But we'll waste no time, man. Let's go to the chat real quick. 2-0 for this. My prediction is that Tay and Khalil Mack are both Packers. Hey, we're going to talk about Tay's cryptic social media post from earlier today, which had
been saying that. That's the only two I want to hook my train to in free agency. That's it. Unless somebody gets cut that is a diamond in the rough. That's all I care about this offseason free agency.
And I honestly think there will be several players that get cut like that. I really do. So as soon as those cuts come in, we will adjust our free agency talk and kind of, all right, let's reset the free agent board, who's best available. But yeah, I mean, for me, I would much rather have Chris Godwin than Davante Adams. That's me personally. Other than Chris Godwin, though, Tay would be at the top of my list, I believe, just because Chris Godwin he can be that number one. And I know he's not like a big jump ball guy, but to me, he's like that dude that can kind of run he can kind of run every route on the tree. He's got great hands. He's produced, 1,000-yard seasons, I want to say 5 or 6 times throughout his career. You couple him with Jaden Reed, and you decide if you want to keep Christian Watson or Romeo Doubs. The Christian Watson conversation is going to be very fascinating next year, obviously, as we're not going to get a real good look until he's on the field, probably week 12 or 13, and then you can see, okay, is he going to be slow to get back to the old form? And, honestly, if the Packers are going to have a chance to compete for a Super Bowl next year, I'm not saying it's the top priority, but you're going to have to do something at receiver room, I believe. You're going to have to add a number one. And I think Chris Godwin would give you 3 years, at least 2, maybe 3 years, as where Tay might be a 1-year fix. But, again, he would be my second option. And Khalil Mack's at the top of my list. I would actually prefer Khalil Mack on a 1 to 2 year deal rather than trading draft compensation for Max Crosby. That's just me personally. So
that's it, because we already have talent coming up on both sides. That's where anything 3 for Godwin, that wouldn't be bad, but I still feel like get Tay in there for a year or two, go chase 1, go chase 2, and then get him out of there. Just let whatever has grown up. Jaden Reed's going to be a star at one point. Who else is going to be blowing up? Is it going to be Christian Dobbs, Wicks, Tucker? I mean, we're going to have to spread the money out.
Yeah, definitely. So Turtle says Tay and Garrett Wilson will somehow make their way to us. Boy, that would be wild. I'm going to put that. I would definitely bet against that. So Turtles, I hope you're correct, though. That would be really cool. I just don't see it happen. I don't see it, mainly because it sounds like Garrett Wilson's trying to get away from Tay with the way, that kind of photo where I think it was his agent that leaked it out. I say leaked it out, but basically had it put out in the public that if Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams was coming back next year, he's basically wanted to be traded, was the rumor. I think they put that out as a filler to let the front office know, hey, look, I'm not doing this again, that type of thing. So, and to me, that's kind of a red flag when it comes to Garrett Wilson, honestly. Go out there and compete and earn the reps, that type of thing. I don't know. Daryl in the chat says, I think Khalil Mack will be a great addition to the Packers despite the age. I completely agree, Daryl. Again, we need to get more veteran leadership in here, and that's kind of what 2 over this is saying. He says Godwin is good, but 17 is the leader that we need. It's more than skill. See, I see Godwin as a leader as well, 2 over this. Ever since Godwin's been in the league, He's one of those dudes that teammates absolutely adore him. He's produced at a high level. I know what you're saying, though. I would just about guarantee Tay has a little more leadership than Godwin. He's definitely got more fruit on the tree.
I was going to say, you're telling me Tay's not a leader?
Wash your hands, wash your butt, man. That's it. That's all.
Hey, my man was at the forefront of the COVID battle. What? Wash your hands, wash your butt. You'll stay off the COVID list. So, all right, let's dive into a little bit of news. We didn't hit this yesterday, and I wanted to dive into it a little bit here as the Packers have a new coach on staff. I'm really excited about this. Surprise, surprise. It's a Bill Belichickian hire. The Green Bay Packers have found their defensive line coach, and that is DeMarcus Covington. Covington was hired by Bill Belichick as a coaching assistant in 2017, then was handpicked by Belichick to be his defensive line coach in 2020. So he now becomes the defensive line coach in Green Bay. I was also reading other comments across Twitter. I can't remember who mentioned it, but it was something along the lines of he can coach multiple positions as well. He's qualified to coach linebacker. He's qualified to coach DBs. He's just kind of that. That's how Belichick was, though, right? So if he came up as a coaching assistant, and I'll zoom in here real quick. Basically, in college, back in 2012, he was 23 years old, and he was a defensive graduate assistant at UAB. Then he was a defensive graduate assistant at Ole Miss in 2013, 2014. Then he took a promotion as defensive line coach at Tennessee Martin. Okay, that was in 2015. He was 26 years old. Then he went to Eastern Illinois, where he was co-defensive coordinator. So you see another promotion there. That was in 2016 when he was 27 years old. And then he was hired by the New England Patriots as a coaching assistant. People are going, what's that? Belichick is real big on quality control. He's real big on everybody in the building needs to understand the Patriot way. Josh McDaniels is a perfect example of that. He got on as an offensive assistant, right? A coaching assistant. And caught Bill Belichick's eye real quick. Hey, this dude gets it. He understands what we're trying to accomplish in terms of studying the game, understanding tendencies, knowing how to make the other team play left-handed, all the things that Bill Belichick loves to do. And it kind of feels like he's seen the same thing in Coach Covington here, as he was hired as a coaching assistant for 2 years, and he was promoted to outside linebackers coach in 2019 at the age of 30. Then he was promoted to defensive line coach in 2020 at the age of 31. He was the defensive line coach for 4 straight years, guys. There were some good defensive years in there. There were, right? And I know it ended bad for them. Obviously, Gerard Mayo took over last year, and Covington was promoted to defensive coordinator. This is how I feel about Covington, Amelia. I want to get your take. Last year, there were some people that were like, yeah, Ansley was a defensive coordinator, but he lost his job. I got you. I understand that. But when you've seen the game at the defensive coordinator level and then you take a step back into a position group, you understand as an assistant to your DC or OC, if you're on the offensive side of the ball, here's what those guys are going through. Here's what's on their plate. How can I make their job easier, right? And obviously with Derek Ansley last year, I thought he'd done a hell of a job in that regard. And we'll talk about, obviously, Coach Camp moving on here in a second. But I think it's awesome that we got another position coach who has seen the game. Not only has he studied Bill Belichick for how many years now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 6 years. He got the study under Bill Belichick, but he's also seen the game as a defensive coordinator there last year.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's kind of like how we did it last year. We brought in somebody that was overqualified for their position to come in and just teach him everything and as much time as you're allowed, because there's not a whole lot of time. Let's get the guy in there. Let's start moving on it. But you're right. Learning under Belichick, we gotta take that as a win. Just from that point alone, like you said, 6 years working through. He was outside linebackers, D-line. We went from a 3-4 to a 4-3. So he's seen that transition. Been defensive coordinator last year, was one in college. I mean, the dude's been in it. I'm excited. That really does get me excited. The heart of Bill Belichick's defense started with their D-line, though, too. So, I mean, he had a bunch of schemes for the secondary, but what won him a lot of championships, besides Brady, was that defense, man.
Yeah, definitely. Again, that is Coach Covington. That, to the best of my knowledge, it's done, right? I'm pretty sure it's done.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there was multiple reports coming out. I think Rob Domofsky broke it early, and then a couple other people started reporting on it as well. So it sounds like it's a done deal. Hopefully that doesn't fall through. But, yeah, there you go. Again, that is Coach DeMarcus Covington is going to be the new defensive line coach for the Green Bay Packers.
Like Hafley, you know what I mean? Hafley was a head coach, came here to be a DC. Everybody can, you go up one step, take a step back. You've seen the whole field. It's nice.
Yeah, absolutely, man. All right, let's see here what else we got next. Let's get to the bad news of the day. All right, this tore me up. One of my favorite coaches on the staff here, Tom Pelissero, tweeted out the Jaguars agreed to terms with Coach Anthony Campanelli as their defensive coordinator. Sources tell the insiders it's the first NFL DC job for Campanelli, who most recently was Green Bay's linebacker coach / running game coordinator. Now he joins Liam Cole. Yeah, I think he meant Cohen in Jacksonville. So you guys know
Duval.
Going to be awkward. Going to be really awkward. And I think we actually did talk about this yesterday because I remember thinking Coach Camp's got to walk in there and go, "Boy, I hope the check's clear because this probably ain't going to be worth it."
Hey, all he's got to worry about the defense, right? Whatever the offense does. But great guy. We knew that this was a possibility just because he's had that experience. But happy for what he taught the backers. Mm-hmm. Ready to give him a chance at his own.
Yeah, and I will say this, man. As much hell as a portion of the fan base gives Matt LaFleur, boy, he sure gets guys opportunities, don't he? I mean, and that's one of the most important skills as a head coach. Not just obviously play calling and managing the ball club, but being able to promote and find the right coaches to join your staff. It's obviously he's knocking that out of the park because how many guys have gotten opportunities at other clubs, So it's really important. It definitely is. So got to tip your cap to Coach LaFleur there. Up next, we got a couple of things here left over from the Senior Bowl that I wanted to hit on just real quick. A couple of videos. This is Mr. Mike Green. Obviously, Mike Green really impressed at the Senior Bowl, as Brian Baldinger said in his. It said Mike Green is first in line in every drill and makes everything look easy. When you get Baldy, a former NFL offensive lineman, talking about that, man, look at the bend, look at the burst, athleticism, everything with Mike Green. He's skyrocketing up boards right now, Emilio.
Yeah, I mean, you can see it there. The explosion off the line and then the finish at the end, obviously the turns. You try and go out there, touch the ground and turn, man. That's not easy, but his bend, his flexibility, I think pays off a lot. And I think it was PFF Pod. They were saying he practiced 2 days and then he kind of just packed up his stuff and headed out. That's all you needed to see. I'll be waiting for you at the draft. So, I mean, for a small school guy, way to make a name for yourself, way to put it out there. And just, I mean, even if, like you said, even if you go to a small school, you can still perform as long as you step up to competition.
Yeah, and I'm really proud of this because Mike Green was significantly lower on most people's boards. Like the consensus big board originally, this is pre-All-Star game week, right? They had him in the 33 spot. The PFF big board had him in the 47 spot, right? So if you average those two out, you'd say he's somewhere around 40, right? Maybe 38-ish, something like that. And I put a tweet out originally saying, hey, here's my top guys so far that are really popping. And he was one of the top 8. Well, now he's settling in on our board at the 12 spot as Daniel Jeremiah put him on his short list of players that just absolutely exploded off the tape there in Mobile, right, is where they have the Mobile, where they have the Risa Bow. So, yep. Mike Green, that's a dude that I don't think he's going to be around at 23 now. It just feels like he's probably going to go top 20, but you never know, man. We'll hold out a little bit of hope, but yeah.
Yeah, I think he's probably top 15. The dude is a talent, and yeah, like if he does fall to us, Goody's running that card. I mean, I don't think that's a question.
No doubt. Another one that really impressed was Toledo defensive lineman Darius Alexander. As Dane Brugler tweeted out, he continued to stack impressive reps during Senior Bowl week. Looked good during Thursday's practice. Stock up player. So obviously an interior defensive lineman there, Darius Alexander, man. The thing I'm noticing here with this short little clip, Emilio, is the burst. I mean, look how quick, man.
Burst and, engage, get off. The first one was a bull rush. Second one was a swipe and rip. I mean, and to throw a guy back like that, I mean, they know you're coming, right? And it's not like they don't know, who your one-on-one's going to be. It's a lot of one-on-ones. And, just being able to get past a dude like that, not even have to really work too hard. I love it. You have good reps. It brings you up that board, man.
Yeah, so look for Darius Alexander. I know he raised on our board a little bit, but we had him significantly lower in scores.
118.
118. So, and he got the Daniel Jeremiah early bonus here from Senior Bowl week. So definitely keep an eye on him. As like I said, Darius Alexander out of Toledo. Pretty cool, man. Quinyon Mitchell last year. Now you got Darius Alexander. They're starting to put that, hey, Toledo's a small school to bed, starting to turn out some prospects. So It's cool to see some of the teams that haven't had a whole lot of success in the past. Now you're in the NIL era where, hey, it's the wild, wild west, man. You're going to see teams just emerge out of nowhere. They're going to start producing top talent and doing special things.
Yeah,
sure.
I think that's a great point. It's cool that you have East Carolina with Revel there, the cornerback. You have Mike Green being Marshall. You got Zabel, who's probably going to go in the first round from NDSU. It's awesome to see that even if you're at a little school, you can still make a name and get a shot.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. All right, let's move it along here. What else do we have on the old Twitter? Tim put a tweet out earlier. I had to hit on. He said the possibility of the Packers signing wide receiver T. Higgins are slim, and we have other positions to address before adding a wide receiver that'll want $25+ million per year. As NFL Talk, NFL_talk_sports on Twitter said the possibility of the 49ers signing T. Higgins are slim, but they have other positions to address before adding a wide receiver that will want $25+ million per year per the league source. So we're going to say per Tim, he thinks the Packers are looking at the same way. And I really do, man. T. Higgins I could be wrong. They may go after him, day one like they did Xavier McKinney. He just doesn't really feel like a Packer player to me, man. I don't know. He upset the card a little bit in Cincinnati. There was constant holdout conversation, I think 2 years in a row. And, you're also looking up and going, man, is Jamar Chase really drawing the attention away from him? And even with that being said, he didn't produce as well, in my opinion, as some people are making it sound like this dude's a 1,500-yard receiver, Yeah. I'm going, he could be, I guess. But the whole, it's because the ball was going to Jamar Chase. Okay, well, Jamar Chase is bending coverage his way. He's a true number one. Chase draws the attention to him. So how the hell did T. Higgins not have more production? That's my thing. You know what I'm saying?
That's exactly it. I mean, you can't expect Joe to do it all. I mean, and T. Higgins, everybody wants to go back to that draft and say that we would have won a Super Bowl if that was the case, but I don't see it. I mean, we can't be looking back on it this time and say that would have happened. And I would, like I said, keep me far away from that. Bring Tay in or nobody. I mean, that's really it.
And for me, it's like I said, Godwin and Tay are kind of right there together for me. Outside of that, unless somebody gets cut, again, that wide receiver needs to be the last thing you put in place. It's the final piece to the puzzle. Now, there's some teams that luck up and they kind of put it in place as they go. But you gotta be built out in the trenches, obviously, to have a legit shot at going deep in the playoffs. Like when you even look at Philadelphia, right? They went out and got A.J. Brown I want to say it was the year before they made it to the Super Bowl. So they finally, all right, you got the trenches solidified. Everything's in place. You had Jason Kelsey at the time. I think that's when they went and got A.J. Brown was that year. So we'll see, though, man, for sure. Yeah. Coach Lynn says, go ahead. You got it.
I was going to say, Coach Lynn said he was with you, Clay. I'm good on Higgins. Rather have Godwin or Tay. Drew D said, I don't see Goop paying for a wide receiver one, though. And that's a great point, but I'm not expecting Tay to – I mean, that's what I'm telling Tay. I mean, I want to bring you in as a mental wide receiver one, but I don't know if we're dropping – we're not going to give him $30 million. It's not going to happen. I would say anywhere from, 15 to 20 or, 10 to 20, something like that. Get him a deal and say, hey, come up here for a year or two and let's get it done.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and again, you look for precedent. The last player – was Goody the one that paid Devontae Adams his second contract? I'm trying to think when he got that deal because he left – what year did Tay leave Green Bay and went to the Raiders? He was at the Raiders for 2 years, right? So that would have been 2021, so 19. So, yeah, Goody came in – when did Goody come in? 2018, am I thinking right? So – yeah, so if it's 2018, so it was probably the Ted Thompson regime, right, that gave him the money. So if I'm thinking right, I could be wrong, but to this point, Goody there's no precedent with Goody paying a wide receiver, even in-house, number one wide receiver money. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
But you guys correct me if I'm wrong there. I don't think it was Goody that gave Davante Adams the extension.
Trying to pull up spot track quick. But yeah, that's tough because I just he got paid.
When did he get his contract extension?
The Raiders gave it to him in 22.
Right.
Yeah, so then the franchise tag, we gave him franchise tag in 22. He got his rookie extension was 17 to 21.
Yeah, so that would have been Ted, right?
Right.
Now, some people think that Goody was kind of running things those last couple of years. Maybe that's the case. I guess we'll never know. But because Ted's health went downhill pretty quickly. Yeah, so really, there's not much precedent there for Goot doing that. So we'll see.
But we saw him do it in the offseason last year, but they were a younger prime talent. It was X and Josh Jacobs, a young, super gem fine kind of thing, not a older receiver. So like you said, we're in no man's land.
Yeah, and my point is like no receiver at all so far.
Yeah, that's
Goody's
true.
Kind of
that's so true.
Yeah. So,
Jason Y here, Clayton. He said, "I think Goody's a Bill Walsh disciple too. I heard him quote Walsh in his last press conference. That's your boy right there."
Oh, definitely. Goody was – so he came up in he studied under Ted Thompson, right?
Yep.
Ted Thompson studied under Ron Wolf. And Ron Wolf comes from that line of Al Davis, Bill Walsh. There was a lot of competing going on between Bill Walsh and Al Davis back in the day with them being both on the West Coast. But I want to say that I think that Ron Wolf, I could be wrong, he started with the Raiders and then worked himself into a West Coast offense top roster, and then he obviously got the job there in Green Bay. And when he got the job in Green Bay, he of course goes and gets one of the first things he does is he goes and hires Mike Holmgren, a West Coast offense, OC for San Francisco, and the rest is history. So yeah, I guarantee you, Goot has the Bill Walsh book, all those books that Bill Walsh wrote and co-wrote on the bookshelf there to lean on from time to time. Walsh was an amazing football mind, man. Yeah. And it's wild because he was always talked like that his teams were soft, and they were the farthest thing from it. I want to say it was Parcells or maybe it was Mike Ditka said, yeah, everybody refers to him as a finesse team, but we don't look at them as a finesse when they're smacking us in the damn mouth with the run game. This is like they're not a finesse team. You had Ronnie Lott cutting a finger off so he didn't miss a game. They're going to say that they're finesse.
That is crazy. That really is crazy to think.
Yeah. 2-0 for this says, I'm excited to read Bill Belichick's book. That's going to be fascinating, man. I'm telling you. He's been a part of multiple books. I could give you a list of them. Matter of fact, I might put that together and put it in the Patreon group, the ones I've read that are people that coached under him, and he would have small little sections in those books where he would, kind of do the forward and this and that. But yeah, this one's going to be great, man. It's it'll be on audiobook. Emilio, that's what I'll be.
I was going to say. That was what I was just going to say. I'm ready to listen to this book. No way I'm flipping through pages.
Yeah, and that's the beautiful thing about being in landscaping, like both me and Emilio are, man. You get on that mower and you got a 10-hour day. You listen to this stuff fast. See, I'm stupid. You're way more intelligent than me. I have to listen to it on normal speed, but you speed it up a little bit to get through it quick. Don't you?
Yeah, I do. It's on like 1-1 or 1-2. Sometimes you do sound a little funny. It kind of ripped through a talking point, but yeah, it's a great point. I mean, you just get to burn through it.
Yeah, AFAM says the pitchers in the middle. They got some scratch stiff pitchers in the middle, as a matter of fact, now. So, yeah, it's going to be good, man, for sure. All right, so here was the big talk of the day is Davante Adams put a social media post. I think this was Instagram, I believe. And I believe there was no caption. It was just his shoes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Emilio, he's wearing green and gold shoes, man. That means he's going back to Green Bay, right?
I mean, it might as well. The car's black and yellow. His shoes are green and yellow. We played the Steelers in a Super Bowl in 2010, so it all comes together. I mean, it
really does.
I was looking for a clutch pedal, but I'll take it. It better have paddle shifters at least on it, right?
Yeah, and Boz hit the nail on the head. He's a world-class troll. they laughed about it. Him and Aaron used to, oh my God, they had so much fun with the media in the office. Hey, what does this mean? What does that mean? And they'd be laughing about it in the background. They'd talk about it on the McAfee show. I know Aaron mentioned it one time. He was like, Tay's the ultimate internet.
What's Jerry Jones say, Clay? Any publicity is good publicity?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what Jerry Jones said.
Hey, I don't know, man. We're talking about it. Everyone's talking about it, so it worked.
It worked.
But I mean, I've seen cleaner floor mats on my race car bed. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking at that left ankle. This is me. My thought immediately goes to he's an older receiver. That left ankle look a little swollen. We got some kind of injury this offseason. I'm a little worried. We get him in here for a physical if we're going to pull the trigger. So, yeah, but I'm with you, boss. He's definitely a trope, no doubt about it. So there's the Tay talk. Oh, here we go. I forgot to tweet this out. Matter of fact, I knew I tweeted it out, but I forgot I put the image and everything. There's the book we were talking about. It's called The Art of Winning, Lessons from My Life in Football. Bill Belichick said so. Adam Schefter tweeted it out. It's going to be dropping in May. That's perfect timing, Emilio. Perfect time. The mowing season will be cranked up. I'm excited about it. It's going to be great. So there's the book. Go.
You let me know where to get it, and it's going in the ears.
Yeah. And if you do purchase it in the promo code area, just type in PTA. That will give you $0 off. There you go. Oh, man. Let's see. I think we got a couple other things here. Tim isn't here, so I'm going to do this on purpose. We're going to talk a little Jaden Higgins.
Yeah.
As this tweet went out, hopefully there ain't too much sound. Let me mute it. So his release package is what I've been watching. Really, really impressive. I don't want to go full screen here because I don't know what we may or may not get hit with, but I want to give a shout out to Matt Lane at Matty_KCSN for tweeting this video out. Go give him a follow. This is Jaden Higgins. It says, big, long wide receiver with fluid movement skills, stood out in Mobile with his route pacing and ability to sell his routes before exploding out of his breaks. The big thing I noticed again was the release package was the big thing for me, Emilio. If you can see here, it's kind of hard to see, but you're going to notice at the bottom, look at that separation, bro. And it's not like he's blazing fast either. It's just that separate. Watch this. Look at this release. Whoop. That's nasty. Again, the footwork, man. Let's watch the footwork again.
Dude. Can we slow it down? Is that possible?
Are you kidding me? We could geek out here for a minute.
How fast? How technical? Oh, boy. 0.25.
You ready? Look at this.
He's watched Tay before, that's for sure.
Yeah, this is sweet, though, man. Look at this. There's so much to this. It's so deep. Look. Oh, yeah, a little hop.
Dude. The toe drag to start it off, right? All right, you're watching way too much. You get him baiting on the toe drag, steps across, stacks him, gets the guy backpedaling on his heels a little bit. Yep. And once he opened his hips, it was over. I mean,
look at the separate. And again, you don't have to be fast when you separate like that.
No, he's got 6-7 yards of space. I mean, I could hit that. I mean, I could underthrow that by 2 yards and still hit the dude.
Yeah. Again, that's just I know Tim will be fired up over this, no doubt. Let's see what else.
Tim's going to clip just that. Tim's going to go back and clip just that, those shake moves in slow motion and put it up there.
Exactly. So here he is up top. See if we can get him in the frame up here. Again, another decent release right through the jam. No problem at all. Right. Look at that. Look how open he is up there on that corner. Yeah. So Jaden Higgins obviously getting a little bit of buzz around him. Let's see where he's at. He's down here at the bottom. This might be the one we already see. Oh, this is different. Look at this release. Oh, yeah. Look at that inside down. You can see that on a slot cross all day long.
All day.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't believe no one. It's either that or they're scared of him. They don't want to put their hands on him. Obviously, these are for it's built for offensive players, right? These drills are built for the receivers. They're built for quarterbacks. No pressure, no defense. You got no help as a corner. So honestly, as much as you can, I'd probably be using the sideline to my advantage, right? So, but when you get crossed up like that, it's tough to see off the line.
Really is. Joseph said if Tim's watching this, he just had a release. There you go. I'd say you're probably right there, Joseph. So again, shout out to Matt Lane at Matty_KCSN. Go give him a follow over on X for that clip there. So obviously Jaden Higgins starting to stick out a little bit more. And we have him a little bit lower on our board than most people do. I don't want to say most people, but Tim's got him number 2, I think. I love it
He's
too.
got him like -1. He's already drafted him.
You guys have no idea how bad I want them to draft him just for Tim. You know what I mean? You know how fired up he would be if they draft. Oh my gosh, it'd be awesome, absolutely awesome. So we'll get to the draft board here in a second. Again, we've got Jaden Higgins in the 38 spot currently. So just keep that in mind. And he did not get a Senior Bowl or a Shrine Bowl bonus, so that's like his true, just raw grade there. So
yep, absolutely. He was consistent, man.
Right, exactly. Let's go to the Patreon group real quick, and then we'll get back to the board and talk about some other stuff here as we'll go rapid fire. Joseph in the Patreon group. If you guys want to join the Patreon group, just go to patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access, or you can scan the QR code in the upper right there. Thank you, Emilio. That'll send you to the same website. We've got 3 different tiers in there. You can just get the cheapest tier that gives you access to all the chats in there, get you access to giveaways. We're going to be doing a giveaway tomorrow, as a matter of fact. If you're a member on Patreon, okay, you're one of those 3-tier members, or you're a member here on YouTube, a YouTube member, not a sub, but a member. We're going to put your name on the Larry McCarron pinky wheel. We're going to spin that sucker, and we're going to give away an autographed Dorsey Levens jersey. It's a sweet piece of memorabilia, a lot like these styles back here, but it's going to be a white, and it's a Dorsey Levens. Really, really cool stuff. Man, I got a couple jerseys coming I'm excited about. I got an autographed Xavier McKinney in the mail, and an autographed Josh Jacobs on the way. And I got a picture of Bart Starr that he autographed. So that I'm really excited about. It's my first piece of autographed Bart Starr memorabilia. So
that's awesome.
So yeah, if you guys want access to those chats, they'll just join the Patreon group. Joseph in there says, I just watched the Senior Bowl O-line versus D-line one-on-ones and came away very impressed with the following. Ursary. Emilio, do you have access to the board right now?
I do.
Cool. As we call these out, you just tell me where we got them at. I'll
we
read them
have
off.
Ursary at 33.
Well, that's right in the wheelhouse for 23 pick, right?
I would say.
So, yeah, Ursary, obviously an offensive lineman. Then Monheim, he's an offensive lineman as well, right?
Yes, Monheim. Sure. He is USC, correct? He is 81st.
81st. Okay, so let me we've got the picks up here on the
so probably our first and then our third.
Probably the third
is 87th, right?
Yep. First and third, you'd have a shot at those 2 players.
Okay.
And then that's the other thing, too, for people that are in the Patreon group, we're going to do a draft contest where we're going to have everybody do a mock draft. You pick, hey, this is my mock draft. We're going to have you guys email it to me so we have it, right? And you only get one. And whoever gets closest to what the Packers do, we're going to be giving away a piece of memorabilia for that, too.
And that is just exclusive to Patreon, right, Clay?
Just to Patreon. That's correct.
Gotcha.
We're trying to get in that direction because, guys, we don't control YouTube. Like, it was this time last year, immediately following the draft, the YouTube channel got demonetized, and all of a sudden we're going, what did we do wrong? No one would tell us what we did wrong. We found out later what it was, which was still a BS reason that someone claimed that they were the owner of College Football Tape, which is absolutely false. We're allowed to use it. We just can't monetize it. So typically to just say, hey, you can't monetize this. Okay, awesome. We're good with that. And because it's all AI generated, there was no one to talk to at YouTube. Even when I talked to the people in the chat, they were like, ain't nothing we can do. AI detected it. All right, cool. So that's why we want Patreon to be kind of the hub, the base for what we do, because you can always find a link to the show in there no matter what happens on YouTube. I hope we stay on YouTube forever. I think it's been a great platform.
I mean, you can always chat. You know, if you're one that wants to talk to people in the chat, you're always waiting for the link or whatever. I mean, you can do that on Patreon all the time. You know.
Next on this list was Belton. All right, I think he's significantly lower. Oh, well,
Belton.
Do this.
Our boy Belton, Anthony Belton, NC State. We have him at 163.
163. There you go. So that would probably be around the 5th round if you want to take him with 158.
Not bad.
That's where Belton's sitting. What about Rivers? Do we know who he's talking about with Rivers?
Is that the Miami tackle? Yeah, Jalen Rivers. I heard he was actually doing pretty well there. At the Senior Bowl. We have him at 208. He is a Senior Bowl and met with the Packers.
Gotcha. So that could be a 6th to 7th round pick, right?
Yep,
Most
I
likely.
like it.
Yep. And then you've got Connerly. I think I want to say
Jack Connerly, right out of BC. Hold on.
Yeah, pretty sure.
Yeah, Connerly. Or I'm sorry, Oregon. Or Josh Connerly.
Josh Connerly. That's who I'm thinking. Yep.
Okay, gotcha. Josh Connerly Jr.
27, am I thinking right?
27. Yep, out of Oregon Senior Bowl. We have not met with them, but hey, like I said, we're building those trenches. 2 O-line, 2 D-line, and we'll figure out the rest. But that's got to be a bare minimum.
Yeah, so he's got 2 identified here that he really liked. Zabel as well. Zabel is 22nd on our board. So
I think Zabel's going top 20, Clay. He's made a name.
he really
I really do think he's going to go early.
Yeah.
I hope he doesn't. I hope he falls to us because he's a versatile guy we would pluck no matter what. I think it would be an easy run the card up. The only thing that would push it back is if Nolan's sitting right there too.
Right. And then he mentions Malum here. I'm a little confused. He says Malum performed his way into possibly day 3. Absolutely terrible. So I haven't really got a chance to dig into that. He must have had a really, really rough Senior Bowl week there. We've got him in the 18 spot. We do not penalize for bad All-Star game or All-Star week performances. We only give bonuses. Same thing as with the combine. What I want to happen, guys, is I want to know what were people thinking immediately following the college football season, and that's their base, and they cannot go backwards from there. People can leapfrog them, but they can't slide back from there. So again, I'm running it through the thought process, the mindset of Bill Belichick, who says, hey, tell me what the player can do, not what they can't do, right? That's kind of how I see that. So, but that's interesting, good information there, Joseph, because I hadn't followed close enough to hear that for sure.
Yeah.
We also had another one said, double up with Ursary and Belton and have potential dominant bookend offensive tackles who could also play guard in a pinch. And I definitely want us to take one of Zabel or Monheim to potentially be our center of the future. Rivers will be a dominant guard. Connerly fits our zone blocking scheme and so athletic, but lacks some anchoring strength. Ursary's kick step is so elite. I had not seen Belton before, so he was definitely the biggest surprise for me. So Joseph, thank you so much, man. Full scouting report right there. I love it. Love that people are getting into the tape, man. They're getting into watching the practices and really following along this draft. It's going to be a blast as we get closer here.
I'm saying anyone can do it, man. If you dive into it, I still, like I'm saying, still need to get to the tape, but it's fun to just watch them. You get to watch their highlights, see who's done well, and the practice clips are the best way to get, your feet wet and kind of just get an idea on where they're at.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, so this was an article that Daniel Jeremiah put out. These are his top guys coming out of Senior Bowl, okay? We'll dive into them here. We may not read all of the write-ups here, but the one at the top of his list, Darius Alexander out of Toledo, defensive tackle. He says, I'm featuring a former Toledo Rocket on this list for the second year in a row after Alexander followed up Quinyon Mitchell's standout Senior Bowl performance in 2024 with a strong showing of his own in 25. Alexander flashed every day in practice week. Every day in practice this week, right? His combination of size and athleticism is really impressive. He has long arms, 34 inches, and is a rangy interior defensive lineman. His body type reminds me of Chiefs All-Pro defensive tackle Chris Jones. That's wild. Where is Darius Alexander on our board again, Emilio? Any idea? If you'll be ready to tell me where we got
118.
118. So again, maybe 122 if he falls that far. Maybe he climbs up the board and you reach and get him with the third round pick at 87, right? You got a couple of defensive linemen, 2, 3, 4 defensive linemen that are kind of hovering
in the
second
middle
and third. Yeah. And it's kind of goes hand in hand with what Daniel Jeremiah said, is he feels like from the 20th prospect to the 60th prospect, they're all kind of the same. That's exciting, I think, man. You got a chance to double dip, maybe even triple dip in that range if you trade back a little bit. So
absolutely. And that's if we're not pulling an early round talent or a blue chip top 15, like we said, let's try to work the board a little bit more, get a couple more scatter shots. It's worked for us in the past. How many of those guys in the past couple of drafts have stayed on this team? How many guys have been kept and we didn't have to go chase down anybody in free agency or anybody that's just kind of hanging around out there. I like that we're building from inside out.
Yeah, no doubt. Next on his list is Elijah Arroyo. I think I'm saying that right.
Mm-hmm.
I had Arroyo near the bottom of my top 50 rankings coming into the week, but I think he's going to leave the Senior Bowl with some first-round buzz. We all knew about his size and speed before he arrived in Mobile. He showed that during his breakout season with Miami, in 2024. The thing that stood out to me in practice this week was his route polish. He blocked well too. The arrow is pointing all the way up here. So where do we have tight end out of Miami, Elijah Arroyo?
68.
68.
Yeah.
So a potential second-round pick, maybe something like that. Right?
Not for us, but for somebody else, definitely.
Yeah. It's interesting, though, man, when you think about it. I'm not sold on Musgrave. Guys, I was the biggest Musgrave fanboy, him coming out of college. But
I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. Dude didn't get to play this year. I'm gonna let him ride it out another year. I think we got more needs, but I feel you on that. If he doesn't turn it around, it's tough when you got a guy drafted after you just took your limelight. It's not like he wanted to be the face of the team or anything, but the dude that was drafted after you became that number one tight end and is going to stay the number one tight end forever, I would assume. So you have a niche role being that vertical threat type of tight end, but you do have to kind of fill it.
Yeah. And I understand what you're saying too. Like maybe it would take him fall into the third or fourth round where it's like, this makes too much sense. Then you go get him.
Right. Yeah. Right. I hear you.
So Chris C with the super chat. Thank you so much, Chris. Appreciate you, buddy. He says, I found you guys on YouTube during last year's draft. That's awesome, man. Yeah. What I noticed in the off season, since I've been doing this is my third off season doing a podcast, is you find the hardcore fans in the off season. And I love it. Like most podcasters just kind of take this time and they step away and they'll do a little bit of podcasting here or there. We really press in because I know the people who are looking for football content right now are diehard fans. And diehard fans are going to fit in really well with us because we're just a bunch of nerds in here, man. We're not the, hey, let's drink 6 beers and complain about, why the wide receiver dropped that ball in the third quarter. We're in here breaking down the X's and O's, trying to understand the blueprint of the roster that Goody's creating, trying to understand the salary cap at a different level, trying to not predict for bragging rights, but try to dive into free agency and understand it at a little bit different level. The board this year has went to the next level. It's going to be absolutely awesome. So, Chris, we're glad you found it, man. You're one of the best listeners, best viewers in here, man. It's always fun engaging with you here and on X as well. So, thank you for the super chat.
Appreciate it.
All right, next one on DJ's short list here from the Senior Bowl, Jeffrey Bassa or Bassa. I'm going to say Bassa. Bassa made a bunch of plays in practice this week.